Hey guys, welcome back. We're now going to move on to creating the users activity, an activity which will show all the users of the app so that you can send them requests, friend requests, and chat with them, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, for this first part, we're just going to make it so that all the users show up. But of course, later on, when we're making the application more usable, more functional, that is, we will have a way to filter them. We don't want to list all the users that exist. Right, so for this first part, we're just going to do the boilerplate stuff. Let's close this. We're just going to create the activity and the custom layout, just the stuff that we've grown to be used to. So the very first thing, of course, is to create an empty activity. And I'm going to call it users. Okay, now immediately I'm going to go into the XML and start doing work from there. Let's just rebuild first. Okay, so let's move to the text and of course change that to relative layout, and then we're going to include our app. I'll give it the ID users bar. All right, so let's see how that looks. It looks fine. Now the next, and actually the only other thing we'll need is the list of the users. And to make the list, we won't be using a list view, we'll be using the recycler view. The recycler view comes with more features than the list view, such as sideways scrolling and things like that. So it's taken over from the list view. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so that I can resize it. First, let's give it an ID. The ID will be user list. Let's say users list, since there are more than one. Users list. And now let's click it. Oh, it's matched the users bar, so let's delete it and bring it back. This time I'll put it there. There we go. Okay, then give it its ID, users list. Okay, make sure the size is correct. I don't want it to be overlapping with the user bar, and it looks fine. Of course, I'll just check again when I run the app. Okay, so that's it for the XML. We'll go back to the Java now, and we connect our XML just as we're used to. So the first thing is context, and then we'll need the private toolbar and private recycler view user list. Okay, so context is equal to this as always, and then we can set the toolbar. So toolbar is equals to find view by id r.id dot users bar, and then set support action bar to be toolbar, get support action bar dot set title. Let's give it the title of users, and finally get support action bar dot set display home app as enabled to be true. And this, as you remember, gives us the arrow, the arrows that points to the left so that we can go back. But for that to work, we need to go to manifests, go to the user's activity, and set parent to the main activity. Okay. Alright, back to this. Okay, next let's do the same for the users list. Is equals to find view by ID, r.id dot users list. Here it is. There we go. Okay, now let's go to the main activity, because this is where we're going to link to this activity. So we need to go to our on options item selected and make another case. So I'll just copy that, r.id dot, I actually don't remember the name that I gave it, or whether I gave it a name. So let's go to the menu, main menu, and yeah, I did users. Let's take a look here. Yes, here it is. So the users entry is what we'll click to go to this activity, and it has the ID of users. So back to main activity, r.id.users, start activity, new intent, context, and users.class. Alright, so that's that. Let's go back to this, and actually this is all we'll do in this activity for now. We'll come back to it later. The next thing we want to do is to create the custom list, the custom layout rather, for our users list. So we want our users to come in a certain way. Oh, sorry, let's close this. On this list, we don't just see the names. What we'd like to see is an image, the name, and perhaps the status. So let's do that. So to create a custom list, we come to our resources, no, not our resources, we come to our layout, right click that, and say new layout resource file. And we can give it the name of single user, since this will be just one entry, rather how one entry will look. And then we can give it a relative layout. And we'll say okay. Alright, so let's start with that imagery then. Let's increase the size, and for this we'll type circle image view, and for now we'll say wrap content and wrap content, and then we can go back to design and click it and look for the source. Here we go, the source attribute. And for now we can just give it the same default image we gave it on the setting. We gave the circle image view on the settings page. Okay, it was called, yes, NIF, no image found. So that's what we want. Can double click that. And then the next thing is we want to actually control the height. We'll give it a fixed height instead of letting it wrap content. Feel free to choose however large you want yours to be, but I don't mind to be too big. Now I'm going to work with the margin so that it's not hugging the wall. So if we go here to layout margins, from the top I'll give it 16 dp, from the bottom the same, and finally from the left so that it's away from the side. There we go. So now we have a bit of space, that's good. Alright, next thing, text view. And this text view will be for the person's name. So first thing is to give it proper color, which in this case will be just black. And then make it larger, and I prefer to type that. Text size to be what, 15? Let's take a look. 35. Too big. Let's go with 20. Okay, looks good. Maybe 25. Yes, there we go. And also another one, and this time it will be for the status. So again, color, actually copy paste that. Just copy paste this and copy paste this, although this time it will be significantly smaller. Let's say 15, and as long as it doesn't fall below the image, I am satisfied. But of course, this is design work, and you know my rule with design work is do it however you like. It's up to you. I'll actually make that a little larger. Yes, there we go. Alright, now let's remove that default text, make this username, and let's give it an ID. Username. Don't ask again, say yes. Do the same here, status. And finally, avatar. Just keeping things consistent across the entire application makes it a little easier. And there's our custom layout created. So what's next? The next thing is to now start actually fetching the data. But I like to keep these individual videos a little short. You don't, sometimes they will go longer, and in fact these coming tutorials will be rather long because they are now getting into the meat of the application. Either way though, let's stop at that and continue with actually getting the data in the next one.